Okay, boys and girls, so our weaving, I'm going to kind of walk you through this again. To begin, I first started by numbering my holes, okay? We all might have different numbers. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 around clockwise, but we should have an odd number, even if we all don't have the same number. So to begin, I took my yarn. Make sure you don't get too much, because if you get too much, it's going to be a lot to try to pull through your project. So I'm going to take the end and I'm going to poke it through hole number 1, and I'm going to take just a little bit of tape and tape that end piece to the back, and that's going to hold it in place. So I flip my weaving over, and I'm going to take my yarn, and this is going to help make my yarn a little stiffer and keep it from fraying, because some of us have holes that are starting to pull the yarn apart. So if you take just a little bit of tape and roll it around the end, that'll make it a little easier on yourself. Okay, so there we go. I've got it taped up. Alright, I'm going to weave across the front. So I'm at hole number 1, and if I were to go about halfway across, there is no halfway for 8. So if I go about halfway across, I'm looking at it and it looks like hole number 5 would be the hole I want to go to. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to weave it through the top from the front of hole number 5, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. Okay, and I want to pull it kind of tight. So now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to go a side step over to the next hole. I would go to the holes where, like if I'm at 5, I have 3 holes on this side of 5 and only 2 on this side. So when I sidestep the first time, I'm going to sidestep to the side that has the most holes. Okay, so I sidestep to hole 4 and I pull it through. The side step is going to look like this, and the purpose of the side step is to get your yarn back to the front of your loom. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my next hole. If I go directly across, do you see how it makes a nice pretty X? Now if I try to go over to this hole, see how it's not a nice pretty X? It's kind of, the center intersecting point is kind of moved and it's not really in the center. And if I try to go to this hole, it's not going to make an X at all. So I'm going to go to the X, to the hole that makes an X directly across. This is hole number 7. So I'm going to loop it through the top and pull it all the way through. Okay. And once again, I'm going to make a little side step. So I'm flipping it over, and if I were to make a little side step, I'm going to go to my 6th hole, which is next door. So I'm going to go to my 6 and yarn it, or not yarn it, poke it through that hole, pull the yarn through. Okay, now my yarn is back in the front. I'm going to go to my next available hole. It looks like hole number 3 would be the best choice for me. So I'm going to go through the top of hole number 3. I'm going to pull my yarn tight. Alright, flip my loom over, and I'm going to go side step to the 2, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. Okay, now I'm out of holes. This is where I'm at. Now I'm going to take this end of my yarn and I'm going to start weaving. So I'm going to go over, under, pull it through, but don't pull it too tight, because if you try to pull it too tight, we're not quite ready to pull it tight yet. We need to get this started a little bit more before we can pull it tight. Whenever you start weaving the end, the center might look a little messy, okay? So if you keep it kind of loose, you can move the yarn around, and after you go around a couple times, your yarn is going to start to fix itself. So if at first it's kind of messy in the middle, as you weave your yarn around, it's going to kind of fix itself. So I'm going to weave it through, and I'm being gentle as I'm pulling my yarn through. Okay, I'm not really ready to pull it tight yet. I need it to kind of clean up a little bit. Whoops, my lights came off. That's okay. You can still see. Alright, so this is where I'm at. I've gone around a couple times, And now I can start to pull it tight. Okay, and it's going to kind of fix the middle here. So now that it's kind of fixing itself, I'm just going to keep on weaving. I'm going to go around and around. And once you have this established, the center is kind of starting to shape up. Once you have it started, then you'll be able to tie on a new color, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see? There you go. So the pattern is just like any paper weaving that you've done in the past. It's an over-under pattern, and you're just going around and around. The around and the round part, that is called radial weaving. Okay, you're going around in a circle, and you're going over, under, all the way around. Now in the next video, I'll show you how to tie on a new color so you can start a new color, because eventually you're going to have something that looks like this.